Hello, good day, and welcome to Lesson Teacher Academy. My name is Babawande Anjorin, and today I'm going to be talking about goals and resolution. And the whole idea is to help mitigate the challenge of abandonment. People usually abandon their goals 30 or 60 days into the new year, and it's usually because those goals are not properly systemized, or there wasn't a proper thought process that went into determining or deciding what your goals or resolutions should be for the year. So I'll just jump right into it and go straight into the matter, because I would like to share with you things that you're going to learn at the end of this course, and then we'll get into the course and I'll share those ideas with you as to setting up your goals and resolutions for the year. I also would like to state that New Year goal setting and resolutions doesn't have to start from the beginning of the year. What this means is that every time you try to set a goal and a resolution, yes, there should be a proper thought process that have gone into it. And you should be able to set these goals and realities or resolutions within your current reality. So the time that you start doesn't necessarily have to be the 1st of January. It can be any time. What is most important is that you have a system of following through with your goals and resolutions, and you ensure that you hit your targets every single time. So I'm going to be starting first of all by looking at my flip chart. What you will see here is I have a definition for goal and I have a definition for resolutions. But one of the first things the first thing I'll start with is to show you, the things that you will learn at the end of this course. The first thing, yes, is to draw a line. You're going to learn how to draw a line between a goal and a resolution. Yes, they have a lot of common grounds and a lot of people use them interchangeably. But there actually is a line that can be drawn as a separator between what a goal is and what a resolution is. And once you have that understanding, that's the first place to start, because that gives you clear demarcations of what you consider as a goal and what you should consider as a resolution. We're going to be talking from there. And then the second thing you'll be learning is what to do first. What are the first things you need to do before you set your goals and resolution? And then we're going to be looking at why it matters, okay? So you set your goals and your resolutions. We're going to be looking at why it matters also as part of the things that you're going to be learning, at the end of this course. Then another thing, which is the fourth thing that you're going to be learning, will be 4 things that must characterize your goals and resolutions. These 4 things are things that if you can't identify them in your goals and your resolutions, then you might have a little problem. Probably that goal and resolution hasn't been set properly. And then finally, we're going to be looking at the techniques or the method that you will use to systemize your goals. Here, I'm going to be teaching you a method that I developed myself that I've called the CPD method or the CPD framework. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit. And those are some of the things that you're going to be learning about goals and resolutions. And I'm hoping that at the end of this topic that you will be able to set proper, realistic goals and systemize those goals and resolutions so that you can have that level of fulfillment and achievement in your life for 2019. So let's start with definitions. Now, here is my definition for what a goal is. A goal, according to what I've written here, is a decision driven by purpose towards the achievement of a result or objective. So the first thing we're looking at here is that we have a decision to be made, right? This decision is driven by purpose and it is towards the achievement of a result or an objective. And that is a simple definition for what a goal is. So you set an objective, you have a result, or you have an expectation. There's something that you're hoping to achieve. You set the goal for it and you achieve it. Usually when you set goals are usually, time bound, because when you say that you're setting a goal, what you're basically doing is that you're giving yourself something that is measurable within a respectable time frame for which to achieve that desired result. So we're going to be breaking down and talking about that a little bit more. But for a resolution, the definition I've given here for resolution is a decision driven by purpose to change something in your life. Now, you will notice that the common ground for both of them, first of all, in this definition is decision. They both require you to make a decision. But while this is identifying or targeting a specific result or objective, which usually, will be satisfied within a given period of time, this is targeting something about your life. So this is, the way I like to look at it is, look at goals as things that are external to you, external of your very self. And then you look at resolutions as things that are internal to you. So when I say a resolution is a decision to change something about yourself or something in your life, I'm going to be breaking it down and explaining that to you, how I see it in terms of the differences between a resolution and a goal. So I'm just going to move this flip chart now. I will go to the next page. So what I have here, ladies and gentlemen, is to try to show you that line that I talked about. Now, I said that a goal, though, is a purpose-driven decision that has been made to achieve a certain result or objective, goals usually expire once that objective has been achieved. So I like to refer to goals as milestone values. And milestone values in this case means that once you've achieved that goal that you've set, or the objective for which that goal has been set, that goal expires, is no longer relevant. I'll give you an example. If I want to buy a brand new car, regardless of the brand of the car, all I need to do is to determine what it's going to cost me, how long it will take me to raise that kind of money, and then determine when I'm going to buy the car. So once I make that decision and I've defined to myself that I'm buying this kind of vehicle and I require this kind of amount of money, and this is the time I want to buy that car, at least I should have bought that car maybe in the next 2 days or 3 days or 3 months or a year. Once I've been able to buy that car, that goal has been achieved, and at the same time that goal expires, because there is no continuity. The only other thing is I set that goal aside and then I start a fresh goal. Same thing with you want to buy a house. Same thing with you want to achieve a certain kind of certification. You know, you want to get a doctorate degree, you want to get a PhD, or you want to get a master's or any kind of certification. Whatever your goal is, yes. Once that goal has been achieved, that goal expires. So goals should be considered as milestone values. So every time you're setting goals, look at those kind of goals as things that you can set that have a time frame attached to it within a reasonable period of time. Once that goal has been achieved, that goal expires. So you'll find out that most times when people set goals for themselves, it is very difficult for them to differentiate between what a goal is and a resolution. And usually that's where the confusion comes into play. Let me talk about a resolution. While I say that goals have milestones because they are measured through milestones, yes, with the achievement of a specific result, the resolutions are measured throughout your entire lifetime. What do I mean? Now, remember the definition for resolution is a decision driven by purpose to change something in your life. Now, what could be that thing that you want to change in your life, that might be time bound? Now, yes, everything is time bound, but this is tied to the time of your life. I'll give you an example. If a smoker, someone that is, has been smoking for years, say like for the past 20 or 30 years, or maybe just has been smoking and just decided one day that he wants to quit smoking. The question that comes to mind is that a goal or is that a resolution? Yes? Because if you say it's a goal, then it means that the goal can be measured via milestones. And if it has a milestone value, at what point does that goal become expired? But if it is a resolution, it means that you have to maintain that particular resolution for the entire lifetime, for your entire existence on this planet. You have to maintain that resolution. So what I'm trying to explain here is, when you make a resolution, your dedication to that particular resolution is supposed to be for your entire lifetime, as long as you're alive. So for someone that says that he wants to quit smoking, he cannot quit smoking for 3 months and say that he has achieved, except his goal. He has set a specific goal, which is going to be bound by time, and say that, okay, for the next 3 months, I am not going to smoke cigarettes. Or if it's someone that drinks, for the next 3 months, I'm not going to drink. But it has to be a resolution when the value of that particular resolution can only be measured across an entire lifetime. So if I say that I want to quit smoking and I stopped smoking for about a year and then I go back to it, there are two things that have happened. Either I did not set proper goals and I failed on it because my goals were not properly defined. If my goal was that I want to quit smoking for a year and I achieved it, that's beautiful. My goal has been achieved. That goal has expired. I can move on to other things. And moving on to other things can be, I can decide to, revisit that goal and expand the time frame from which I want to quit cigarettes, maybe for another 2 years, right? But for a resolution, once I make a resolution and say that I am quitting cigarette, it means that I have not put any time frame in terms of specific milestones. What I've put here is that this is going to stop for the entire time that I'm on this planet, for the entire time that I am alive. You're no longer going to do that. So that's what I see as a resolution, because this is changing something about you. And that's what my first action or my first explanation was, that this is something within your own inner circle. This is something you have to change by yourself. This is something that comes from the inside out, not from outside in. Most times when you say you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house, you're satisfying things from outside in. So this is you trying to improve your self-perception, Are you trying to improve your self-value system? Are you trying to improve, just improve the quality of your life for certain things or certain areas? Another example that I'd like to give is if I say to you that I want to drop weight, yes? So I am 200 kg right now and I want to drop to 70 kg. Now, if that is the purpose and that's my target, I want to drop my weight from 200 kg to 70 kg. I have set a milestone, all right? And that is a goal. So the moment I hit 70 kg, it means that my goal has been achieved, and then I can rest on my oars, right? I can take that as done. But you see, if I say to myself that I want to live a healthy life, now that is different, yeah? Living a healthy life now is, I am no longer looking at my weight. I am no longer saying that this is a specific weight category that I want to maintain. What is paramount to me now is that I want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And once I make that resolution to make a healthy lifestyle, it's going to split into multiple goals sometimes. Because what that means is that if I'm going to maintain a healthy lifestyle, it also means that I'm going to maintain, a healthy weight category. It means that I'm going to watch what I put into my body. It also means that I'm going to be looking at, exercising on a regular basis, making sure that I am doing the necessary things to become healthy. Now, once I've made that resolution, it springs forth to a series of activities that I must constantly maintain or constantly carry out to be sure that I maintain that resolution. But if I say that, all I want to do is just to drop my weight from 200 kg to 70 kg, what that is actually doing is that I have set a specific goal for myself. I have set a specific milestone for myself. And then once I achieve it, that also expires. I hope I've been able to differentiate and draw that line between what the goal is and what a resolution is. Like I said, they have very many common grounds, but you can still draw a line as a differentiator between them. But again, earlier on, I said that the goals expire once they have been achieved. But for resolutions are fresh on a daily basis. Why? Because resolutions are expected to last throughout your entire lifetime. Remember, this is you changing something about yourself. Let's say you want to be more loving, you want to be more spiritual, you want to be less abusive, you want to be a contributing member of the community, you want to change somebody's life, you want to be a value plus person. All of these things will require you to take a decision to engage yourself in a series of activities that you will practice on a daily basis that becomes a habit towards ensuring that resolution, okay? But two things must be done, first of all. And that two things are going to be coming out from something. And that something is from your expectation. You have to when you set a goal, you set a goal with an expectation. When you set a resolution, you set a resolution with an expectation. For resolutions, the expectation of who you want to become. And for goals, in an expectation of what you want to achieve. So that means that you already have a mental picture at the back of your mind, which is more or less what you can call a vision. Okay? So once you're setting goals, ladies and gentlemen, you need to first of all engage in two things: conscious deliberation and right thinking. Now, there is usually an argument here that will tell you conscious deliberation and right thinking, Baba Wande, these things are basically the same thing because you're thinking. And I agree. Yes, it's basically a cognition process. It's a thought process. But you see, the difference between both of them is that while this is a conscious deliberation, which means that conscious deliberation I'd like you to see as I'm thinking on the matter with all my concentration on that matter without any distractions, and that matter is the sole focus on my mind. That's one thing. Now, right thinking is thinking about certain situations in the right way, allowing for realities and circumstances to influence that thought pattern. I can deliberately, think on something through conscious deliberation, and I'm not doing the right kind of thinking. Let me give you an example. Now, if I decide to myself that I want to buy a brand new car, I used that example before, but now this brand new car is 20 million naira, right? And I'm thinking about it. I've thought about the car. I've thought about the brand that I want to buy. I've even thought about the color of the car. I've thought about the specifications that I want, and I even know where I'm going to buy it, plus the amount it's going to cost me, yes? But then I look at my salary and realize that it's going to take me another 20 to 25 years before I can save up enough to buy that brand new Mercedes-Benz. Now, have I deliberated consciously on the car that I want to buy? Yes. Have I deliberated consciously on the elements, the specifics, all the factors surrounding buying that car? Yes. But is this the right thinking? Yes. But except for one thing, the only challenge with that kind of thinking is that There's nothing wrong with you setting your goals and dreaming big, but you are not thinking right if truly your desire for a car is urgent or is really needed. Because, for example, the reason why I'm talking about right thinking is because I said you have to have the influence of your reality go into the thought process. So if I want to buy a car, rather than go for a car that will be worth 20, 25, 30 million, 40 million naira, and I know that it's going to, even in 20 years, I probably might not be able to save that amount of money. The right kind of thinking would be for me to go and pick up a car that is more within my financial capacities. So maybe I buy a car that is about maybe 2.5, 3 million or 5 million naira. And I know that, okay, I probably will be able to save for this car, in a very short period of time, in a very short, maybe not so short or maybe not so long, but at least it is doable. And the reality shows that I believe in that I can do it. So that is one of the things that, I want you to put at the back of your mind, that when time you're thinking about goals, you first start with what are your expectations, all right? Why do you want to pick these goals? What are you looking at? What's at the back of your mind? And then that should be followed by conscious deliberation and right thinking. Let's take that a little bit further and take a look at what are the first things to do before you set your goals and why it matters. So we've identified that you have an expectation. Yes, you think about it, and then you have go through some kind of conscious deliberation and right kind of thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this, yes? The first place to start on my flip is to understand the why. And the question to you is, you need to be able to understand the why, because the moment you start drawing up your expectations, you want to start asking yourself why. So if I set a certain goal, why do I want to have this goal? If I want to buy a brand new car, a brand new house, for example, why do I want to buy that brand new house? If you want it to be a 3-bedroom flat or a 5-bedroom flat or a mansion, the question is, why do you want any of this type of houses? You have to understand the why. If I set a goal for myself and say that I want to run a 100-meter sprint and I have decided that I want to become a gold medalist, right, in the Olympics, that is a goal because I'm targeting the gold medal. It means that I have to now engage myself and determine a series of activities that is going to get me towards becoming a gold medalist, right? So I have to understand my why. Why do I want to become a gold medalist? Is it for the fame? Is it for the money? Is it for someone else that I'm doing that? We're going to be talking about a few of that, I'm going to talk more about your why and how your thought process should go through with your why. Number 2, check your reality. Just like the example I gave with the Mercedes-Benz, it is important for you to check your reality. Checking your reality helps you understand time frames and help you understand, it gives you believability as to what you can do, helps you know what your current situation is, and helps you plan according to the current situation, so that you don't give yourself any grandiose or overzealous goals, that you really cannot achieve. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the cost. Remember, we're talking about some of the things you must do first before you start setting your goals and why it matters. So we're going to be looking at the cost here. We're going to be talking about cost in time or people or energy. So let's quickly talk about that now. So what is your why, right? I said that it is necessary and it's quite important for you to set your goals, to set a why for your goals and a why for your resolutions. And one of the things I would like you to have at the back of your mind is that your why should be something that speaks to your pain point. And what do I mean by your pain point? Pain point here is used, let me say loosely. This is to refer to an area of your life that is challenging to you, something that you've already identified and you want to change. Now, if I'm talking resolutions, I've already defined resolutions as me trying to change something in my life. So if I make a resolution and I decide that I want to understand the why, I want to know why, for example, I want to quit smoking. Is it because for health reasons? Why I want to stop smoking, stop drinking? Is it also for health reasons or for social reasons? Or is it because of a family member who sees that behavior as destructive? Or is it because of myself as seeing that behavior as destructive? If I said to myself that I want to buy a brand new car, I have to understand why I want a brand new car. Is it this prestige thing? Is it something that is just more economically wise to do? Or is it a mixture of both? Or is it because it's a necessity that is going to fit into my current plans? Or just simply because I can afford it? You should be able to understand the why you take this decision. But it has to be able to address something, in your life. The reason why you're doing this goal should be directly correlated with something in your life that you either want to change or something that you want to achieve. That is why I said that you have to go through both conscious deliberation and right thinking. And then you must have your expectations, because once you go through this process, that is how your why comes out, because all of these things should be ruminated at the same time. Now, how important is it for you to solve that pain point? Again, pain point is used here loosely. So how important is it for you to solve that pain point? How important is it for you to buy that house or that car? How important is it for you to get that certification? Okay. If I get that certification, is that going to, build me up? Is that going to give me better chances at work? Is that going to expand my career? Is that even simply just for me to get knowledge value, through that particular certification, so that people recognize that I have this specific skill set, in these specific areas? So these are some of the things you want to think about. What is this solving? Okay. So what is this pain point that this thing is going to solve, and why is it important for me to solve that pain point? Once you begin to ask yourself those questions, you are setting your why for your goals and your resolutions. And then who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, or you're doing it for somebody else? I read the story of an athlete who said that the only reason why he thought he was able to win his 100-meter dash was because he stood on the start line of that track, and while he was focusing on the finishing line, he was telling himself that every single man here was probably equally prepared like him. But that the only difference now is that he is doing it for his mother. He put it at the back of his head that he needed to do this for the mother. He needed to win that goal for his mother. His mother was his motivation. So when you ask yourself, who are you doing it for? This is also looking for your source of motivation. What is the reason behind this particular action? You understand the why, the pain point, but is there somebody that will benefit, that will be happy, that will feel proud from it? Is that person you, or is that person somebody else? Is it your boss, your better half, your children? Are they members of a society that will probably feel proud that you actually were able to achieve those things? So these are some of the questions you want to ask when you're trying to define your why. And then, what is the value at the end of it? So if I win a gold medal, what's the value of it? Yeah, I get world recognition. I probably get endorsements. My mom becomes proud of me. I might probably lead to me living a better life, because I'll have multiple sources of income. And that enough in itself can be a very good value for why you want to do it. So always try to determine, what your value is at the end of your why questions, because you want to first of all understand the pain point. You want to know why it is important, for you to solve that pain point. You want to know who you are doing it for in asking your why question. And at the end of the day, you also want to look at the value at the end of that why. So let's look at reality, yeah? Checking your reality. And I mentioned earlier that checking your reality is quite important, because it sits with your belief system. You need to be able to understand whether, one, your goals that you're setting, if they are achievable. Yes. So I hate to flog this, but that's the example that keeps coming to my mind. I buy a brand new car. I'm looking at the 20 million naira brand new car. Oh, let me switch this example and say, I want to rent an apartment, okay? And I realize that, okay, to rent this apartment, I want to live in a specific area. So I've identified a highbrow area that I'd like to live in, and I've identified the kind of house or the kind of flats or building I want to rent. And then I realized that it's going to cost me about 2.5 million naira on a monthly basis, to pay for my house. On a yearly basis to pay for my house rent. Now, I need to look at my current reality in terms of the income that I have. Can I afford to live in this highbrow area, paying that amount of money to my landlord or landlady every year, looking at how much I'm earning as a person? So the first place you want to start is to first define how much you earn annually in this kind of reality, because you want to be able to understand whether what you are setting for yourself is truly achievable. You see, it's one thing for you to have faith, right? But it's one thing for you to also have faith that is supported by works. And in this case, this is the works that is supported, the current work you are doing in terms of how powerful is your income stream for you to be able to achieve this specific goal that you set for yourself, for living in a house, that might be that expensive. But if you see that you already have the means, and you believe within your heart that it's achievable, you've looked at all your income statements, you've looked at all the income streams, and you say, yes, I can do this, then you've already set yourself for, the first pass mark, because already in your mind, it is established that it is achievable. The second thing is that you believe it. And I believe also comes from checking your reality, yes, so that you don't have the kind of belief that I call a false belief, right? that you're just hyped up about something, and then you've told yourself that it's achievable, and then at the end of the day, you find out that no, you really don't believe it at the bottom of your heart that you can do it. Like somebody that, started a business, right? And this story of this lady that I heard was she had to sell her car. She had a little car and she was a single mother, raising two boys. And it became really tough for her. So she had to sell the little car that she had and she bought bicycles. What she was doing was, making little confectionaries, baking at home, and then she would deliver to different people in a small bicycle with a basket in front of it. And she kept on to it and she kept doing it over and over and over and over again. And she was consistent for a period of about 6 years. And eventually her breakthrough came. Now she has bigger stores. She's bought herself another car and she's moved to a bigger house. Her kids are now even a lot, well grown up and they can handle themselves now. And now she's a business owner, and not just a business owner, she's doing very well. Now, the story behind the interview was that she told herself that the first thing was that she had to believe that she could do it. As a single mother, that was struggling to get herself together and, didn't have the support of any man. She had to believe in herself and the skills that she had at the back of her hands. And that is where your faith comes in. You see, every time you set your goals and your resolutions, you have to have the faith and the belief that it is doable for you. If you don't have that faith, if the belief is absent that it is doable for you, you already have a big problem. Which means that you're setting goals and resolutions for which that is not anchored in the faith or that's not anchored in belief. That means that for yourself, you doubt, you're already in a place of doubt. And if you're already in the place of doubt, that already becomes a problem, because what happens is 2-3 months down the line, or 2-3 months into the new year, 2-3 months into after you've set that resolution on the goal, because you do not believe it, it'll be easier for you to abandon it. You tell yourself, well, it's not achievable anyway in the first place. I don't believe I can achieve this in the first place. I remember also somebody that, had to go through, school without the parents. Now, this was a friend of mine, that we went to school together. Both parents died in a car accident, and he had to take care, of his younger siblings. And this happened at the age of 14. And he was the only person, as the first male child, had to take care of 3 of his other younger ones. And we took all of them through school. It was not easy. But they all went through school. They all went through university. They are all graduates today. They are all settled. They are all fine. They are all doing fantastic. But at the beginning of that journey, I remember my friend would tell me that he never believed it was possible. Yes, he had help from other family members. Yet he had guidance, from other senior members of the family. But the core belief that it was doable, that he will not be a child to fall by the side of the road, that he believed that his education will not end because his parents, that his education will not end with the death of his parents, and that of his siblings too, was a great motivation for him, because he was doing it also for his parents that were gone. And that's why I said that, see, it's very important, remember, to understand your why, who you are doing it for. He did it for his parents at that point. He did it for his siblings at that point, and he did it for himself. And he did it with a lot of belief in it. And now today, he actually achieved it. Now, what is the truth of your current situation? This is the third question I would like you to ask yourself when you're checking your reality. Remember, we're talking about setting goals and resolutions. So you check the truth of your current situation. And usually I'd like to use an example here of, let's look at the health. Now, your current situation actually will help determine what things you can do. In the scenario, in the case of a health issue, the example I have is of someone that planned to run a marathon race and had been warned by doctors to take it easy on his knee. He had a bad knee. And he actually accumulated or got that bad knee from a lot of activities he's been doing for over 20 years. Quite an athletic person at professional level, but he was already getting old. This person I'm talking about is already in his 50s. And then he wanted to participate, in a marathon that obviously was going to be very challenging, because it was a lot more challenging for even younger people as opposed to someone that's already 50. But his mind was fantastic. His mind was in the right place. It was in good physical condition, except for the bad knee. And his doctors warned him. Now, this was his restraint, because every time he tried to prepare for that marathon, in trying to run and practice, he found out that after he had run for just about an hour and a half, he started having pain in his knee that it would get so bad that he'll have to actually sit down or stop running completely. So that was a big challenge to achieving his goal. And he didn't deal with that knee because he was supposed to go through a knee surgery. He was avoiding that surgery. And now that he wanted to achieve another goal, he had to face his reality to determine whether he would go through that surgery. But the truth of the matter is that once he did that surgery, the chances that he'll be able to run are very limited. So always check your reality, ladies and gentlemen. See your current situation and understand where you're coming from to know whether it is doable or not. And in a lot of examples, you'll be able to see, these things showing up as to whether you can do these things. Look at your reality, how much you're earning, the kind of time that you have. Can you afford these things right now? Because someone that, just wants to be frivolous, for example, wants to buy maybe a brand new smartphone that is pretty expensive, and you know that this smartphone is way out of your budget, but you're still looking at it and you're still setting yourself a goal to buy it. It might not be a realistic goal. It might not be a smart goal. So you want to be able to check that too. And then the last thing here under, one of the few things to do first before you set your goals is to try to determine the cost. What will it cost you to achieve those goals, results, or desires? Or what will it cost you to meet up with that particular resolution? So a few questions that I have here that might help you, in answering that is, you want to ask yourself, what would it cost me in time? So if you have, for example, you want to get a master's degree and you work on the island, in Victoria Island or in Lekki here in Lagos, and you decide that you want to do that course in University of Lagos, like in Akoka. What that means is that you would have to shuttle from work, especially if you don't have weekend classes and you have to come on a daily basis, which means that you come for evening classes. It means you have to shuttle from work every day, leave the island, come to the school, have your courses for about 2 or 3 hours every evening, maybe 6 to 9 or 6 to 8. And then you do that for the entire period for which the course. So sometimes it might have to be for 1 year. What that means is that most of your evenings after work for the next 1 year has been committed to the study in school. What that tells you that time is allocated to that school. That's a cost in time. So if there's something you like to do before when you come back from work, maybe just take off your clothes and raise up your leg and watch a movie or do whatever it is that you do, you have to change that time now because you've already thought about what it's going to cost you, for you to be able to go through, that academic process of achieving or getting, that extra degree that you're looking at. So you want to be looking at yourself in terms of the cost of time, the time it will cost you. That's just an example. The second question I want to ask on that cost that I want you to put at the back of your mind is, when would you start or stop? So if you set a goal, and you pursue that goal, now situation and circumstances usually will happen. Life will happen. So you have to be able to understand at what point will this goal actually expire. There are certain goals that may need to expire even before they are achieved, and certain goals that, you may need to review and change the expected results or the desired results of that particular goal. And that is usually, how can I put it now? It's usually sometimes a function of time. I'll give you an example. So I've been trying to buy something online for a while, and it was priced in dollars. It took me a while to save up the cash. But by the time I eventually got up to saving up that cash, I like to ride a power bike. So I was trying to buy a super sports power bike online, through an agent online. And it took me a while to save up the money. And by the time I did save up the money, because I was going to be paying them in dollars, the exchange rate had changed. So by the time the value of my money came to, it wasn't even enough again to match what the new exchange rate was. So that was a constant challenge of constantly having to change, the desired result, because the real goal itself is acquiring the power bike, the super bike. But the activity or the process that requires me to change the goal keeps changing because I couldn't get enough money at once, to save up enough to buy the power bike. So every time, I get up to say, and the funny thing was that the price wasn't changing. So the price was still sitting at about, $3,500. And at $3,500, every time I saved up enough that seemed to match $3,500, the value of the dollar had gone up. And this wasn't at a season when the value of the dollar against the naira was fluctuating rapidly over very short periods of time. So that actually made me revisit that goal and actually decide on something else. So sometimes you might have to do that, to begin to look at when to start on a goal or when to stop. So I decided that, okay, I'll just save up money on the side until I have a substantial amount that can match, whatever the market is saying. That is a tough one, believe me. So we want to also look at the third thing, which says, what will it cost in terms of people, money, and your health? I've given an example of the health, but in this case, we're going to be looking at your people. And what I mean by people, when you make goals and resolutions, one of the questions you want to ask yourself is, does this require me to make new friends, or does it require me to let go of certain existing friends that I have already in my life? Does it require money in terms of, for example, you want to get a new degree or a new certification, you have to pay for it, except it's free. You have to really pay for it. You want to buy a car or a house, you have to pay for it. So you have to have at the back of your mind, what is it going to cost you to achieve this goal? Are you going to deny yourself certain frivolity, so to speak? Would you hang out less? Would you go less to the cinema? Would you spend money less on drinks and hangouts with your friends? Are you going to be spending more time on developing yourself? So you want to know what is going to cost you in terms of people, money, and most importantly, your health. So if you decide that you want to take up a particular kind of job, like I have a friend that was working, a junior friend per se, that was working in an asbestos ceiling making company. And you know that it is very dangerous, to inhale, particle dust from this asbestos things that we use for our ceilings. And one of the discussions we had at that point was how healthy or how safe it was in terms of the danger to his health. And the organization really did not have, proper health insurance systems and even proper protection for the workers when they went to work. So it was a bit tricky, and it was one of those issues that needed to be looked at, in time to determine whether this particular goal was actually worth pursuing. So I've mentioned all three of them in terms of checking your reality and your costs. So what are the things that you need not do? Things that you should not do. Don't make a decision without thinking through time, reality, and cost. Don't make a decision without thinking through the time, the reality, and the cost. And we've talked about now that, so we've talked about time, reality, and cost, in this conversation that we just had. Don't procrastinate your start date because today matters. It is important for you to be able to engage yourself and start today. Starting today is pretty important for you. And the reason is because do not procrastinate till tomorrow the things that you can do right now. It is important for you to be able to do them right now. So procrastination will become a big issue, because what that means is that you will keep pushing the event till another time. And usually that will become a dream killer or a goal killer or a resolution killer. So that's why I said that sometimes it's not, setting January 1 or having a specific calendar date for setting your goals is not something that you should hold hard and fast. You should be flexible enough to be able to determine goals at any time during the year and be able to set that goals. And once those goals have been set, you've gone through the proper thinking, you've gone through conscious deliberation, you take the right action straight away. So don't delay on starting or working on your goals. Know your limits and don't do an overkill. Exactly. A lot of the things I've been talking about also refers to you staying within your own zone of belief. See, your mind cannot create beyond the state of belief, its own state of belief. So if you are setting your goals and your resolutions and trying to determine things that you want to do for yourself in terms of change that you want to change in your life, and you're trying to determine, the goals and resolutions in terms of results that you want to achieve, stay within your reality, stay within your limit. And when I mean your limit, I mean you are supposed to be able to challenge and extend and expand your own your horizon. You're expected to challenge yourself, but do not do an overkill. Once you are taking challenges, take them in little chunks. Once you're setting your goals, make sure that your goals are within your own desirable and achievable limits. Okay? So you can't decide now that you want to, for someone like me now to say that, okay, with my current financial status now, I want to go and buy a land in Banana Island. I can't afford it. Right now, though, I don't know about tomorrow, but right now I can't afford it. But I'm not going to be staying within my reality, and I'll be doing an overkill if I send myself that kind of goal and tell myself I want to go and buy 2 plots of land on Banana Island with my current financial status. That is an overkill. That is a fantastic goal. That's a big dream, but that is an overkill. So you must learn to put things, within perspective. So the next lesson we're going to be having, I'm going to be talking about 4 things that should characterize your goals and resolutions. And that is coming up on our next lesson. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the time you've given to listen to this. I'll see you at the next one.